I'm going to have to be a little bit hasty with this speech. Hello, everyone. Let's go to town. And then, if I have some time left over, we can talk from me to you. The U.S. government's blind spot, how AI regulation is already compromised by foreign influence. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are going to expose a massive failure in how the U.S. government is handling artificial intelligence, AI regulations. Vice President J.D. Vance has spoken about the dangers of overregulating international AI, but here's the real issue. Our government has no idea that it is already being controlled by forces outside the United States. The problem isn't just overregulation, it's who is doing the regulating. Because behind AI regulations, behind security standards, behind almost every industry in this country, there is an invisible network of private organizations that claim to protect us, but are actually selling us out. The hidden power behind U.S. regulations. In America, most regulations don't come directly from government. Instead, they come from voluntary consensus standards, a system that lets private corporations and government agencies create and follow their own rules. Number one, the American National Institute of Standards. This is a private, non-governmental organization that sets the standards for everything from manufacturing to cybersecurity to AI. The American National Accreditation Board, ANAB. This group is in charge of certifying companies, labs, even federal agencies, saying they meet ANSI standards. Both ANSI and ANAB claim to be independent, but here's the truth. They're not. 2018, ANSI took over complete control over ANAB. These two organizations aren't just made up of American businesses and government agencies. They are also filled with foreign entities, including China. And because U.S. government agencies sit on the boards, our country is tangled in this web of corruption. 2015 to 21, when China took over the system, let's go back to 2015, shall we? When something major happened that our U.S. government either ignored or let happen on purpose. ANSI and ANAP are members of a global accreditation group called the International Accreditation Forum, which they founded, which is an association of accreditation bodies, both national and international, and equivalent in accreditation to ANSI-ANAP. This group oversees how businesses, industries, and even governments around the world are accredited. And guess who took over the IAF in 2015? A Chinese communist national named Zhao Jinwu, who has been involved with our quality since 1994. Not only was the chairman of the IAF, but at the same time, he was also chief executive of the China National Accreditation Services, China's version of ANSI and ANAP. They're equivalent. China National Accreditation Services are equivalent to ANAP, ANSI and ANAP. Why does this matter? Because China's National Intelligence Law, Article Number 7, requires Chinese officials and businesses to hand over any information they collect to the CCP. Translation. From 2015 to 21, every industry, every lab, every security regulation that ANSI and ANAP were involved in was connected to China. And let's be clear, ladies and gentlemen, ANSI and ANAP are not just certifying factories and laboratories, they are certifying our government agencies too. That means during the time China had potential access to data and agencies like the FBI, DHS, DOJ, DOT, FAA, CDC. This is not speculation. This is documented fact. AI regulations, who really is in charge? Now let's talk about AI. Vice President Vance is worried about international AI regulations. But what he doesn't realize is that our entire standard system is already being influenced by foreign powers. ANSI and ANAP, both of which have infiltrated by Chinese influence, are the ones helping set AI regulations in America. And it gets worse. The IAF isn't just an international body, it has a sister organization in Australia called the International Laboratory Accreditation Cooperation, ILAC. Both IAF and ILAC are interconnected with China. The IAF isn't just an international body, as I told you. In other words, the same corrupt system that controlled lab certification, aircraft safety standards, and government agencies is now influencing AI regulations. The Wuhan lab connection, proof that the system has already failed. Let's go back to something that should have been the ultimate warning sign, the Wuhan Institute of Virology. In 2017, while Christopher Wray's FBI was telling Congress to watch out for China, ANSI and ANAB and IF were working with China's accreditation system to certify the Wuhan lab through the China National Accreditation Services, equivalent in accreditation to ANSI-ANAB. The Wuhan lab was supposed to be a biosafety level 4 laboratory, meaning it should have had the highest safety standards. In 2017, they were granted certification by none other than Zhao Jinwu. At the time, again, he was the chairman of the he was the chairman of the IF and the chief executive of the China National Accreditation Services. But in 2018, American scientists warned that the lab did not have enough highly trained technicians to safely handle deadly viruses. But let's go back to 2017. Vice President of Laboratory Accreditation, Pamela Sales, said under deposition in Texas that from one laboratory to another, there are variances. They lack protocol. There she is, admitting to the escape of you-know-what from Wuhan. In 2019, the CDC released, and by the way, CDC sits on ANSI-ANAB's board as a member. The CDC released a document saying that having properly trained technicians was the most important part of running a safe bio-level 4 lab. Yet ANSI and ANAB and the IF still allowed China to rubber stamp a certification for the Wuhan lab in 2017. Then came COVID-19. Well, all of us know what happened there. A deadly pandemic, millions deaths, the world turned upside down. And here's the kicker. The same corrupt system that allowed the failure to happen is now ruling the roost for artificial intelligence. The bottom line, the U.S. government is sleeping at the wheel, sleeping at the switch. Yet Vice President Vance is worried about international AI regulations, but what he doesn't realize is we are already compromised. The real question isn't who is regulating AI, it's who is controlling the regulators. For years, our government agencies have been sitting side by side with the China and ANSI and ANAB, and for 6 years, the entire accreditation system was controlled by the CCP through the IAF. If we don't wake up, AI won't be just a technological threat. It will be a weapon controlled by the very people who have been infiltrating our system for decades. Final message, America must take back control. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not a theory. This is not a conspiracy. This is a fact. Every single time a U.S. agency or business follows ANSI-ANAB voluntary consensus standards, they are participating in a system that has already been compromised. If J.D. Vance in Congress, if our government truly cared about national security, they wouldn't just be talking about AI regulations. They would be ripping our agencies out of these corrupt accreditation bodies and investigating how China was able to control the system for so long. It's time for action. It's time to clean the freaking house. It's time to take back control before AI, like everything else, falls into the hands of those who want to see America fail. Because if we don't, ladies and gentlemen, my friends, my business associates, if we don't, we're not just going to look back at the next big scandal. We're looking at the end of the American sovereignty as we know it. We are looking at the demise of the United States of America. And I make no bones about that one. When speaking the truth, it is many times like administering medication to the dead. Common sense, Thomas Paine. It's easier to believe a lie that one has heard 1,000 times than to believe a fact no one has heard before. A.A. Milne, Winnie the Pooh. Just remember that. And as Creatius said, I think, and I'm going to use my name in this, it is not the droplet of Daryl Guberman that wears away the mighty corruption. It is his perseverance. I thank you. It is not the drop of water that wears away the mighty stone, but it is its persistence. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you, and I am not going to apologize one iota if they don't listen to Daryl Guberman. If these people don't come up to me and get a hold of me, then it's going to be the same old rock and roll. The musicians change, but the music is still playing the death march. I thank you.